August 16th, we are on a Bitcoin chart. Today we're starting on a shorter time frame, 30 minutes. Normally we start on the 4-hour, which is our headquarters. But I just wanted to show you what we moved forward with yesterday, that when the weekend arrives, the price movement of Bitcoin behaves differently. Many weekends, what we see is a sideways movement with practically non-existent volatility, and that is exactly what we saw yesterday. I warned you that it was easy to do an intraday trade or an easy scalp because we know the price is going to revolve around 63,000. That is to say, it's going to go up a little, it's going to return to 63,000, it's going to go down a little, it's going to return to 63,000. Certainly, the movement is so small that there are many times when it's not worth it to get into that scalping, but the signals are very clear, and the 63 zone is crystal clear. All right, we're going to look at the 4-hour chart now, long term. The important thing about these videos, we do the forecast for a week. The week starts tonight, Sunday night. The dynamic changes. We're leaving this pause behind and entering a normal movement now, the one we study every week, and we're going to make the forecast for that week. How do we do it? In a very simple way, I always explain it to you, which is price action, the candles we were looking at, supports, resistances, which is the plane through which Bitcoin moves, and then seeing what those who want to deceive us are doing. There are two groups, a very, very large group, which is retail, that thinks that by following indicators or following news or following what someone says, they're gonna beat some people. A very small group with a lot of money, a lot of experience, and who have always won and will continue to win. Logically, the new group, so to speak, of huge retail is going to lose, and the small group is going to win. We, even being retail, because we are individual people, and no matter how much we invest, we will always be small, we want to change the mentality to the mentality of a big person, an institution. And what we do is look for those footprints to follow with volume. It's the only indicator that we can trust because it doesn't tell us what has happened, like other indicators that tell us an asset is oversold. When we know, for example, that an asset can be oversold for months, that it can be oversold for weeks, that it might not even reach that oversold state. They aren't reliable, but they give retail a certain sense of security. We don't complicate things. We look for the strategies of those who make them, we follow them, and we make money. Okay, we've moved past I've already explained to you. I wanted to explain this weekend pause to you on a small time frame so you can see the difference. And now we're going back to our headquarters, which is where the support or resistance levels we've been following these past few days are. I'll tell you what they are. On the downside, the 60,000 support level. This is a fundamental support level for Bitcoin. It has always respected it, and when it gets close, it always marks the channel we are currently in. On the upside, 68,000, we see that we've had to create a pseudo channel because Bitcoin's recent movements haven't been close to it. In other words, these lateral movements or this long-term accumulation we're in doesn't really get close to either, neither the support nor the resistance. And we've opted to make a good forecast, both for the week and for good intraday or scalping entries, which is where I post the daily entries in my VIP Telegram group. However, in these videos, I also give you clues so you can do it yourself. All right. We've set up the pseudo channel, like I said, to be able to make those entries in the most appropriate way. If you're interested in making money with trading, whether professionally or as a side job, I've designed a course where you'll stop looking at indicators and you'll understand what the market is really doing, what the strong hands are really doing, and you'll be able to make money the way they do. Let's continue with the analysis. That pseudo channel is formed by 62,300 as support and 65,600 as resistance. You can see that it has marked them very clearly in recent times. Even the last one came close to that zone this Friday. They are zones, not lines. It got close, it didn't break through, and it went back again to the MI to try for the middle of the channel, which is 64,000. But as the weekend arrived, that movement stopped, and it stayed at 63,000. Actually, even though we see that the market doesn't move on the weekend or sometimes during the week, behind the chart, there is a lot of action. Institutions are even taking advantage of that pause. What they're doing is playing with the retail investors' emotions. Retail investors get nervous and jump in without analyzing. They enter when they shouldn't, and often they end up going against the position they originally intended to take. They play with that. They also build up the movement little by little. These slow movements give them the margin to start loading up that position, and then when it takes off, for example, a position from a fund, it could be from New York or the Asian markets, they take advantage of that surge and create a very fast move that can catch many by surprise. Today is Sunday the 16th, and we know that at night, those Asian positions I mentioned usually come in, and there's usually a movement already. You have to be careful. That can set the course for the week's movement, and there is a fairly large movement. Okay, we have 4 hours. I'm going to show you the weekly chart as well, so you can see the Wyckoff phase we are in for the long term. Wyckoff, VSA, support, resistance, all the elements necessary to perform these analyses are explained in the course from scratch until you understand them just as I do. Very well. We are in an accumulation zone, and furthermore, an accumulation zone that is looking for support. We are starting to see red candles when everything we had seen in previous weeks was green, looking for that resistance. With that in mind, on the 4-hour chart, we know it's gonna head downward in the medium short term. That is to say, 7 to 10 days. We already ventured last week that it was gonna break 64. It was gonna enter and play in this zone between 62 and 64. Now, what we expect for this week is that break of 62. That start of play not getting close to 60, it would be unlikely for it to have that AG aggressiveness. But yes, to break 62 and retest from the lower zone. Those retests from the lower zone and not from the upper zone are important because they are telling us that the movement is downward. That is, it is short, and that is what we will have to observe this week. The condition that I always set to break a little bit, more than break, it's to delay that movement, is the entry of volume. We already know that institutions, if I told you at the beginning of the video, always leave their footprint in the volume. We're looking for volume spikes like these. On a 4-hour chart, they are usually close to 1.5. It can be a little less when we see less activity, but those are the footprints of the big players. When we see these footprints, usually followed by 4, 5, or 6 much smaller candles, they are giving us the direction, or let's say the stance of the big players. When one appears near a reaction zone and a wick appears, a wick on a Japanese candlestick, a doji, something that indicates that battle behind the chart, it's telling us that the price is going to turn. We saw it clearly in this situation. For example, a volume spike comes in. It doesn't reach 1.5, but in relation to what's approaching for the weekend, it's a lot of volume, a lot of liquidity. A wick appears, and as you can see, there is a bounce. A short bounce, obviously, because we are entering the weekend, and look at how the volume disappears. That projection disappears. That's why I'm telling you that what is the zone between 62,300 and retest from below is the entry of a volume spike and a candle spread that accompanies it. If we see, for example, a wick of this caliber, a candle of this caliber of 1.5, and a large candle spread appears, there shouldn't be a wick either at the top or the bottom, nor a doji or anything similar in an upward direction. We have to be careful because it could break that forecast or at least delay it. And what it could do is touch 64 with that strength. And then, yes, return to the zone we are waiting for. In other words, there could be so to speak, a pullback towards 64. It's a more remote probability. We are already waiting for a clear breakout without a pullback, but since it's at 63 and the move has been building up all weekend, the Sunday night entry could do one of two things with more predictability. We understand that breaking 62,300, although in this case I usually put option B as more remote, in this instance it wouldn't be entirely far-fetched to touch 64 and then look for the break of 62,300 the following week. I wanted to tell you, like I say other times, I post the VIP Telegram so you can see the chart a bit on 15-30 minutes, which is where we enter, the group, which is 100 people. I have already closed it because I want to maintain that quality, both in terms of the comments from the people, we all know each other now, and the noise that might be around. The only way to join currently is if you sign up through my link, which I leave in the description, for mxc.com. It is completely free. You make your first deposit, MXC gives you a $50 reward, and I let you participate in the group completely in both the discussion groups and the one where I post the signals for 1 month for free. After that, there is a monthly fee of 19 euros per month. Very well. I also wanted to tell you that there are no other groups on Telegram or other platforms because if you type my name or Daily Bitcoin Analysis, other channels appear. I do not participate in any of them. And if you see something like that, it's because they are trying to scam you. Just trust. If you want to find me, if you want to get in touch with me, only the links that appear in this video. I'm Mikkel Vasquez. This is Daily Bitcoin Analysis. I really appreciate you watching this video, and as I always tell you, this is not financial advice, but rather I am sharing my experience with you after more than 15 years in professional trading. Stay tuned for tomorrow's video. We're changing the dynamic now. We're entering the week, volume's gonna come in, we're gonna see movement, we're gonna see great intraday trades within scalping, and we're gonna cover it all tomorrow. See you later.